When we hear the word private school, we often think, wow, that must be so expensive. So in this video, I'm going to break down my full student statement, all the financials of my 5-year undergraduate private school education so that you can decide for yourself if it is as expensive as people say it is. I just want to say I'm excited to make this video because I think the results are going to surprise you. So let's dive in. I want to start with a couple of caveats before we begin. I went to university at what's considered one of the most expensive schools in Canada, and that was Trinity Western University in British Columbia. Now, as a caveat, I went to school from 2016 to 2021. So the figures here might be a little bit dated, but accounting for inflation, the principles still stand. Starting off, I'm just going to show you a quick overview of my student statement. You can scroll through here, and I want to get to the numbers by the end. With my degree, I took most of my degree at Trinity Western. I transferred in 4 courses from UBCO that I took one summer, and I transferred in 2 courses that I took online through TRU. All of those numbers factored in. So all of the fees, all of the parking, all of the department-specific fees, like I was in the sciences. It doesn't factor in books. That's a separate expense. And I didn't factor in any living costs because that can be so variable. But here's where it gets really interesting. But the number one thing that I felt in my experience with Trinity Western was that it sounds expensive at face value, but they know that when they ask for a lot, they give you many opportunities to give back to you as well. Yes, my degree started off at $104,000 before any scholarships. After scholarships, it was just $48,000 out of pocket. So I received over $55,000 in scholarships. But before you go, he was just on a hockey full ride, I wasn't. I have the numbers here. My total hockey scholarship over the 5 years I was there was a little bit over $10,000. So I was on an academic scholarship, I was on athletic scholarship, I was on community scholarship, and I was on a department scholarship. So I had 4 different scholarships. Again, I'm not saying that I'm special. I'm saying the point that I'm trying to illustrate here is that when they ask for a lot of money, they also give you many avenues to find that money as well. But this is where things really start to heat up. So after scholarships from Trinity, I'm $48,000 out of pocket for 5 years. 10 grand a year. But I applied for student loans as well. Anyone who's done this knows that when you apply for student loans, you also get grants and bursaries that you don't have to pay back. So after factoring that in, I had $71,000 available in loans that I had to pay back. Total funding. $21,000 of that was from grants and bursaries. So I had a $50,000 loan. I had $21,000 that I just got to keep. And of the 5 years that I was a full-time student, I only applied for this 4 times, which, to my mistake, I should have done it all 5, but the way that it works out is you can't retroactively apply. So if you are not yet in university and you have access to student loans and you feel like you don't need it, apply for it anyways. It's free money. So now if we take that number in, the initial $48,000 minus the $21,000 grants and bursaries from the government, I am $26,000 out of pocket. Not bad. 5 grand a year for a private university education. That seems like a good deal. But it doesn't stop there. The one thing that really pushed me over the edge, and if you can't tell by now, I'm very pro private education for the level of opportunity that comes, the quality of education is unsurpassable, like top notch. So I was $26,000 out of pocket. But what I realized after I graduated was that I had $104,000 in tuition credits. The way the Canadian government works is for everything that you pay in tuition credits, they give you a certain amount back where you don't have to pay income tax on money that you earn. So I graduated in 2021. My 2021 taxes was $8,450. I got almost $8,500 back and I didn't have to pay tax because I went to such an expensive school. I had so many tuition credits to offset that I could use against my income. But I just had more credits for 2022. So in 2023, my tax return was $9,200. I didn't pay income tax for the first 2 years I was out of school. And I got $17,600 back. That's insane. So when you factor that in to what was $26,000 out of pocket is now $8,900 out of pocket. I paid less than 9 grand for a 5-year honors degree from a private university. How insane does that sound? And there are 2 types of people and 2 types of reactions that are going to come from this. The first is like, oh yeah, but he had all these scholarships, spoon-fed, whatever. The other is like, okay, my belief is broken. Private school isn't as expensive as I think it is. There's access to money if I'm resourceful and go look for it. You are the people I'm speaking to. It feels expensive at first. It doesn't have to be. Like, I'll be upfront, my first year, I didn't have as much access to the department funding, to the community scholarship, to all the scholarships that become available after you stick it out past your first year. So my first year was pretty expensive. It was close to $15,000. But by years 4 and 5, I wasn't really even paying to go to school at that point. And I impress this point on you because of the level, quality of education that comes from a space like this. Now, I know my sample size is n equals 1. I'm one person who went to one school at one point in history. But if there's anything that you take from this video, it's that private school isn't as expensive as you think it is or you feel it may be, right? Because when I look back, I had the opportunity to do a missions trip to China for 2 weeks. I had the opportunity to live in Italy for 3 months on a research scholarship, all expenses paid. And I believe those are opportunities that wouldn't have come if I wasn't at a private university. My upper level classes, I was in a classroom with maybe 8 students. Like my graduating class of chemistry in 2021, I think there were 6 of us. Very small. Like apart from, the respect to your professors, you're really on a first name basis with them. That's something that in today's world, I don't really believe you can get for $9,000. Let's break that $9,000 out over the 5 years. What does that divide into? It's less than $2,000 a year. And when you think about it that way, it becomes a no-brainer. So I pulled up some costless comparisons just to bring this to light and give you a reference point. My total first year at face value before any scholarships, this is 4 courses per semester. So most people take 5, I took 4 because I was in athletics, was $20,537 in 2016. So 10 years ago at the time of filming. The cost for a year of public university, I pulled from UBCO's website, is $6,200. So it's 3.3 times as expensive at face value. But if you take that same $6,200 and compare it to the $9,000 that I really paid out of pocket, I got a 5-year degree for the price of 1.5 years at public university. So as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with this. If you've stayed till the end, I hope by now that you realize that private school is not as expensive as it feels at first. And when much money is asked for, it works in the opposite way as well. Too much is expected, much is given. And when you compare the actual out-of-pocket cost, less than $9,000, to the quality of education that you get with the opportunity of small classrooms, a wonderful green space, first name basis with many of your professors, opportunities to travel. I mean, in my case, it was China and Italy. It makes the trade seem like a much easier trade to make when you know what you get. So that's it for this video. I appreciate you watching. And if you take nothing else from this, the next time you hear someone say, oh, private university, that must be so expensive, I hope you can think, it's probably not as much as you think it is. Thanks for watching.